Hey, Shalom. This is Har one by Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. When it's called Halayim, Leyahawa, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Harakakwadash, Ma'amaf. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders, and Shalom to you, Akim, and Agwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. This is going to be another parabolic lesson dealing with prophecy. Start to blend the two a little bit. Because sometimes I like to go into the history, but and touch on the prophecies. But with the time we in a time of heavy prophecies. So you got to blend them together. You know, speak about the history, speak about the parables, and bring them through the prophecies. All right, filter them through the prophecies. So now, one of the prophecies is a complete collapse of this man's Esau's system, and also a digital currency. All right, ultimately going into Revelations 13 and 16 with the MOTB, or what they call the Karagma. All right, so you know, we can't really speak on that topic on YouTube, on Esau's YouTube. But so let's get into it. This article I found, and it's dealing with the digital dollar. All right. So let's check it out. All right, and I did lessons about 5 years ago or so, maybe, and I was speaking about Fed coin, that they would come out with something called Fed coin. This before they even started speaking about it. And Fed coin is basically the Federal Reserve transitioning the Federal Reserve notes into Fed coin, meaning a digital-based currency, a CBDC, and also something called the US dollar digital coin. So they want to come up with digital forms of all the fiat currency on the earth. That's basically what's happening right now. You know, they established the dollar as the world currency, peg it to gold or whatever, make it the world reserves. With the 1944 Bretton Woods Agreement. And then to get all the gold and the resources from these nations with the dollar. All right. And the next thing you know, they start wars and devalue the currency or destroy economies, and then they become rich, and the other nations that had the gold, they lose their power. And all they stuck with is dollars, all right, in reserve. So it's a bait and switch that's going on here, man. And we're in that time to where the Lord's going to deliver the elect of Israel. You got Daniel chapter 2 happening, right? Becoming partly strong and partly broken. NATO. You got World War III at the door. The missiles are being, you know, brandished for the world to see. And you got the economic collapse at the doorstep of America, and hyperinflation on the rise as we speak, and plagues and famine. All right, and droughts. So all the prophecies are starting to show themselves, man. Man, it's a beautiful time to be in for the hopeful elect. All right, so now let's get into it. It says, this is from the U.S. Sun. It says, the dangerous digital dollar. Okay. Warning, Fed coin is coming, and it may replace cash and hurt savers, as well as allowing government to track your payments, man. For people that got a lot of money saved up, once they switch over to a digital form of currency, they're going to lose a major portion of that. It's going to devalue the currency. All right. And this is like the main way America's dollar can crash, or the economy. The main way the dollar can crash is through a major economic downturn in America, which is kind of like up and down roller coaster, or through a war happening, man. All right, or the other nations choosing a different reserve currency, and they think that's impossible, but there's already a reserve currency waiting called blockchain. All right. So let's get into it. It says a new Fed coin digital currency could replace cash, basically going to a cashless society, hands free. I just got an invite from my bank that I bank with, and they said, yeah, get to know how to use your touch free card. I was like, whoa, what? Touch free, hands free. You know, I don't want to learn that shit. I just ignore it. You know what I'm saying? But like even now, you try to ignore um, the system they set up at the register, where they ask you if you got your CHIP, you know, in your card. You know, a lot of people's cards won't even work unless it has that on there. So they already got the system set in place. They got all the agencies around the world moving towards digital. They got all the innovators innovating, producing more touch-free or digital environment, you know, for the revealing of the MOTB one day, so real soon, which is the ultimate prophecy before World War III and the return of our Lord, Yahweh Shai. President Joe Biden, it says, President Joe Biden announced the move towards U.S. central bank digital currency, basically a CBDC. All right, so he announced it already. A move towards that. All right, the U.S. central bank digital currency. And America is like one of the, I think, the only place or main place that has a central bank. So that's what people like Trump, they were trying to decentralize the bank here in America. All right. It says U.S. Central Bank Digital Currency, CBDC, on Wednesday in a historic executive order on cryptocurrency regulation. That they want to regulate it. President Joe Biden announced historic moves towards the CBDC in an executive order on Wednesday. Experts have warned about the dangers of CBDCs, but believe they may have strengthened the position of the original cryptocurrency Bitcoin. He gave the heads of federal agencies, including the Treasury, Justice Department, and Homeland Security, 180 days to come up with a report on how the new digital currency will work, man. And that was back in March. All right. So what would that be about? It'll be a few months towards the end of the year. All right. So it'll be at least like 5 months, 4 months, about 5 months. So now it says Biden also asked the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, the Edomite, to develop a strategic plan for Federal Reserve and broader United States government actions on CBDCs. It comes as governments around the world are scrambling to respond to the explosion in cryptocurrencies, which are not state-controlled. But experts say there are worries the new CBDCs could pose a threat by allowing the government to program money to control how and by who it is spent, man. All right, so I guess it's longer than I thought. So let me see how long this thing is. All right, I can read it. So they're moving towards the digital currencies, right? I'm gonna read a little bit more. It says Alex Gladstein, Chief Strategy Officer of the Human Rights Foundation and a well-respected voice in the Bitcoin community, told The Sun, "I'm concerned because there's a lot of language about digital currencies, CBDCs, in the executive order, and I think they are dangerous for civil liberties." So they're trying to take away everybody's liberties and their freedom. Of course we know that, right? It looks like FedCoin is coming, and I don't think that'll be good for the average American. FedCoin would replace cash. Cash is something that's readily on hand, meaning like paper money at the time, at this moment. It would replace paper money and coins. See that? So they want to get away from what they call fiat currency, the old order, the old world order, and they want to move towards their new world order. All right. I think they established the dollar in 1913. So, then 1944 they made it the world reserve currency. So it says it would permit instant analysis of transactions. It would create a ledger. Just like today, when you look at your NFTs or different Bitcoins or whatever, you can follow it and track it. It creates a ledger from the beginning point that it was created and every move that it makes. All right. It would permit instant analysis of transactions as opposed to privacy that cash affords, man, right? That's what they want. They want it to where you can't hide a suitcase of money under your bed no more. You know, I don't do that. I ain't got no money, but I'm saying people that have money, you know, like they stash it in their wall or they stash it in the safe box or in the safe. Well, the elites can't tax that money because they don't know it exists. You know, you got people hiding all kind of money in America, especially these gangsters and these business people. So all that money, they want it to be taxed. All these side transactions, they moved away from the barter system. Now they trying to move away from hand-to-hand cash. People just buying and selling from each other. Being able to just make a minor sell on the street. You just want to go out and sell something you created. Now you got to have like business credentials for it. And soon you're going to have a digital currency to be able to buy and sell. But you got people like Nate from IUIC, they still not teaching it, man. Through their pride, through their lack of understanding. They're still not teaching the truth and warning the people, man, of these things that's coming. These are concerning powers, and they would also permit monetary powers that are concerning. All right, just like withdrawing from an ATM gives you the power to be private with your spending, right? I forgot about that part. The ATM, that's not too much privacy. You kind of give some of your privacy over to the bank, but that's about it. But with this is going to be seen by the government. Every move you make, right? Thus, they can create a credit system off of that as well. You know, from an ATM also gives you the power to save in different ways. And if you don't have an ATM, the government will be very easily able to do things like negative interest rates, expiration dates of money, stuff like that. Wow, it's deep, man. I don't think it's going to be great for savers. Let's put it that way. So it's coming, man. All right. Well, this thing is longer. This is a long article. So I'm not going to read this whole thing. But, so let's get into some scripture. All right. So, yeah, man, we know the scriptures say the spirit of the Lord is the spirit of prophecy. You know, and those that blow the trumpet, they should give off the proper vibration to warn the people and prepare them to the battle. That's what people would do in the ancient times. You have watchers that would watch from different points of view. You know, north, east, west, south of the kingdoms or whatever. and they will watch and report what they see. You know, even now we're in different watches of the night. We're in the time of the night. So let's get into it. Jeremiah 1:11. You know, moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Jeremiah, what seest thou? All right. And I said, I see a rod of an almond tree. All right. And this is parabolic, allegory, you know. You can also tie these scriptures to that rod being Yahushua, which is part of the prophecies of him arriving. Mind you, this was spoken in 627 BC. Yahushua was 600 years later. All right. So, what is it going into? The almond tree represents prophecies, all right, or judgments, you know, which tie into the prophecies. And the ultimate prophecy is the return of Yahushua. But before that, you have other prophecies that are in place. You know, like World War III, the MOTB. This is all spoken from the beginning by our Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua. His power. And I said, I see a rod of an almond tree. All right. Then said Yahweh unto me, thou hast well seen. I will hasten my word to perform it. See, it's about his word and his prophecies, man. Okay. So when you hear about the almond tree in the scriptures and it budding, it's talking about the prophecies. And the word of Yahweh, all right, so the Lord said, what? For I will hasten my word to perform it, meaning he's going to watch over it to make sure every prophecy comes to pass. All right? So let's get into it. The almond tree buddeth. Now, if you want to use this precept as well, dealing with prophecy, the beginning and the end of the prophecy really is with Yahushua and the deliverance of Israel in these last days. All right, when he was on the scene and he was up on the cross, all of that still represented Yahushua or Aaron's rod that budded. All right, the branch, Yahushua. But ultimately, the almond tree budding is also talking about the children of Israel being woken up to this truth, and the Lord establishing Yahushua as king over everything in these last days. But before that, there's other prophecies that got to play out, and the Lord said he's going to watch over it to make sure his word comes to pass. All right? Matter of fact, let me get one more precept. I think y'all know what I'm about to get. All right. This is Isaiah 55:11. It says, Isaiah 55:11, so shall my word be. See, his word is about them prophecies. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. All right, so the Lord is going to bring these prophecies to pass. All right, and the almond tree is the earliest tree of the year that starts to bud, meaning it starts to grow white flowers. But it's one of the earliest blossoming trees, or budding, and it turns white with flowers. But then the almonds start to show. So saving started in January, February, March, so 3 or 4 months, all the way till spring. That's when you get the almonds. So a person that wanted to grow almonds, they would have to watch over it intently to make sure that process is exact. Also, you have the pruning effect and the chastising effect. That's what the Lord is doing to the nation of Israel. All right. So he said the same way he would watch over to destroy us, he said he's going to watch over to bless us. All right. So the Lord is watching over his prophecies and making sure everything comes to pass. All right. So when it speaks about the almond tree budding, it's talking about the Lord's prophecies coming quick, you know, and earlier than everybody think, unexpectedly, early in season, in its season. And the Lord gonna watch over it to make sure He bring it to pass. Ecclesiastes 12, because in part of that prophecy is the fall of America, all right, and it's especially its economy, and the yeah, this is great right here. All right, yeah, there you go. Let me get that. Get something else real quick, because that's what time we in. This is Isaiah 24 and 11. There's a cry for wine in the streets. See, they're looking for answers. All joy is darkened. All their joy is going to be darkened. And that goes with Ecclesiastes 12 and 5. All right. I'm going to get that in a second. Actually, it goes with Ecclesiastes 12 and 3. All right. There's a crying for wine in the streets, especially here in America, the great city. All joy is darkened. Wow, man. All their joy has been darkened. All their dreams and their plans, the ventures shall fail, man. The mirth of the land is gone. Okay, all the joy and partying is starting to fade away from this place. So let's get to this Ecclesiastes 12 and 3. No. I'll start from 1. Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth. I mean, while you still have the youth represents the golden ages when you're young. You know, you ever look on YouTube and you look up where are they now? People from Good Times or What's Happening, all these different shows, and you look them up. They show the younger version of themselves, which we thought they were older back then. But then you see them today, they look real old. So the Lord's saying, yo, remember the Lord in the days of thy youth. You know, while you got strength and you got all these scruples about you, you know. And you're young, you can do the work. And young to the Lord, in our standards, would be like 40. You know, that's young. All right. Don't wait till you start getting old and senile, and, you know, and sick and all that shit. And then start to try to remember the Lord. That's what I heard Mike Tyson say that. He said, once you get past 50, you start working on your relationship with God. It's like, no, man, you do that when you're young. You raise up a child in the way they should go, and they shall not depart. Ecclesiastes 12 and 1. Remember now the Creator in the days of thy youth, right? The golden ages, man. Your golden years when you're young. While the evil days come not, right? Nor the years draw nigh when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. And that's really talking about old age, right? Or sickness or death, or in this sense, the world waxing old and all the destruction coming upon the earth, right? And people are not going to have no pleasure in this place. While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. The keepers of the house, man. Who is that? Biden and them. And the politicians, they're going to tremble. And the police and the military. And the strong men shall bow themselves. There they go. They're going to submit and fall to these other nations' power. And the grinders cease because they are few. You know? So the grinding is going to cease because it's going to be few. And a terminology that they use in the money system is the stock market on Wall Street coming to a grinding halt. That's what they like to say. Why? Because and due to that, there would be no employment, lack of jobs. All right. It says what? The grinders cease because they are few, man. It's not gonna be any employment. All right. And those that look out of the windows be darkened, meaning all their joy darkened. You know? That's right, man. So, imagine somebody going to work and it's just them there, but don't, like somebody at a warehouse and they move like thousands of boxes that one day. Well, their work shift is only going to be like 10 boxes. It's going to be light work because they're going to have machines doing the work, and also they're going to have lack of product. It's called a famine. All right. So hyperinflation. So all of that's going to play out. It's going to lead to the demise of this economy and the dollar. So that's what they want to do. They want to get rid of the dollar, which is the world reserve currency. They don't want to fully get rid of it, but they want to change it into something else called digital currency or digital dollar. And in that digital realm, China will be the top dog. And that's their plan, to make China the new whore. And that goes with scripture as well in 2nd Ezra, where it speaks about Moab or Asia being just like America. All right, so they're going to receive the same type of judgments, but ultimately go into slavery. Also, when they shall be, it says, where was that? And the doors of the streets, and the doors shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of the grinding is low. All right, so that was that lockdowns, the businesses shutting down, boarding up the windows, liquidating the businesses, sending them overseas. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, right? People gonna wake up to hearing birds. Remember during the lockdown, every time you go outside, all you heard was the birds chirping. You didn't hear no drills going early in the morning. You hear a lot of cars passing in the street. The land of traffic business. Right? Or people ain't gonna wake up to their alarm clocks and go clock in. They're gonna waking up to being out in the fields and shit. And all the daughters of music shall be brought low, man. And that music is just like a sinking ship, like the Titanic. And anybody that's on board with this place, they're gonna fall with it. Religious song. All right. Singing. So all those that are singing the song of Babylon or dancing to this tune, to Esau's tune, they're gonna be brought low. The rich and wealthy, that's gonna get rid of the middle class, and they're gonna have an upper and lower class. That's it. Upper class being these corporations, and that's why you got a lot of people selling out so they can get on board. A lot of these rappers before the ship sinks. So it says this, also when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fears shall be in the way. All right, so they're gonna be afraid of the judgments, and fears shall be in the way. Meaning, looking down the road, they're gonna see it that America's about to fall, or hyperinflation. That's all they see right now. It's bad shit about to happen. It's just about when. They keep saying that. So in the future of this place, everybody's starting to see it, man. Nothing but destruction. Their dream is fading. That American dream is starting to fade and turn into a nightmare scenario for these people. And the almond tree. Oh, there go the almond tree again. All right. The almond tree shall flourish, man. See, it's not just going to be turn white with flowers, but the budding of the actual almonds is going to happen. The Lord is going to watch over it and to bring it to pass, all the prophecies. And the grasshopper shall be a burden. That means the slightest thing shall be a burden to this place. Anything can make it fall. All right. And desire shall fail, all their desires, man, everything they desire in this place. I just did a lesson on that yesterday that Israel snuffeth up the wind at their pleasure, meaning they living going after the desires of their heart in this place. You dream, man, you can be anything you want to be in America. You can live the American dream. You know, the desires of their heart, man. All right, so because it says, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, meaning the smallest thing shall be a burden to the Americans and to the system. And desire shall fail, man. Because man goeth to his long homes, gonna be a lot of death. When there's death, people can't, like, I watch, what was that? I don't watch this dude, but he pop up on my social media. P. Diddy, he calls himself Love now. He did a message yesterday if you go on his Instagram. And he said, man, it's hard to stay in the light where there's so much death happening. Like, yo, what? The light is the truth. And he's not in the light. All right, he called the light riches. They think gain is godliness. See that? So he's like, it's hard to stay in the light when there's so much death happening. And they keep pushing it in our face on the media. So he want to ignore it. That's the light, seeing what's really going on in the world. So it says, and the mourners go about the streets, because there's going to be a lot of death and mourning in the streets, a lot of, what do they call them? Funerals, you know? And protests. So the almond tree is budding, man. It said the almond tree shall flourish. All right, the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden. Right, man, because this is a more detailed elaboration of the almond tree budding, meaning the Lord's prophecies coming to pass. This is 2 Ezra 16 and 18. All right, because the Lord is going to watch over all of this to make sure it comes to pass. So it's going to happen. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, right? The plagues that the Lord is sending, the destruction. So it's the beginning of great mournings. They said the mourners will go about in the streets. So when this economy falls and the dollar crashes with it and the hyperinflation, it's going to be a lot of suffering, man, a lot of death. With this transition, they're moving towards the digital system, you know, and the Internet of Things and connecting the human to it. The beginning of famine and great death, man. See, it's going to be a lot of death within that famine. People going to have to make a choice to pay their rent or pay their car note or buy food. The beginning of wars, in the midst of that, and we see it, they talking about it now, the rumors of wars, but the beginning of it is at the precipice. Russia just said it. If America sends those missiles and weapons over to Ukraine to have Ukraine use them against Russian soil, they're going to attack the West on their land and over there in the NATO areas. Well, America, through Biden, through the powers that be, puppet Biden, they put out there that they're sending the weapons and the missiles, and they should be there in a few days. So it's a few days away. You know, it might be there today. And Russia just put out there that they destroyed one of the tanks from America that Ukraine was using. So So the beginning of wars, and so not just talking about it's going to be hot wars, man. Straight up wars going on. Turkey, Syria, China, Taiwan, North Korea, South Korea, America. And the powers shall stand in fear. I was just speaking about the powers that be. And it said, basically the government is going to be afraid, man. The politicians, the president. It's going to be a great day, man, to see that fear on them. Because right now they're not showing it. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings. The beginning of famine and great death. The beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. And if the powers are standing in fear, I mean, the whole nation's going to be in fear. And also, the citizens are going to be rising up against the government. What's that? Sedition among men. That, insurrections and civil war. Pastor Hart just did a lesson on yesterday speaking about Trump calling for civil war. The beginning of evils, the bad things, man, this is it. What shall I do when these evils shall come? All right. Behold, famine. And that deals with the drought, the lack of shipments and trade between the countries, and ultimately the destroying of crops and factories, products, like the government is allegedly doing. But then hyperinflation and the downfall of this economy and the world reserve currency, fiat currency around the world. So it's going to be a world economic collapse. All right. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth. Right? With Walmart phrase, everyday low prices, everybody living it up. That they shall think themselves to be in good case, man, deceiving themselves. I got my Obama phone, remember that? That's when it was really gone, boy. And now Jake today, through this new digital market, a lot of people see riches in their future, but now it's really destruction. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, man. At the same time, the blessing and the curse is being revealed at the same time. The blessing of the elect, the salvation, and also the destruction of death. All right. So the Lord said, I present before you an open door. Life and death. Here you go. Let me get that. That's right, man. Revelation 3:8. I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door. The same one he set before us in the Old Testament. And no man can shut it. For thou hast a little strength and hast kept my word and hast not denied my name, man. All right, so don't deny the Lord's name. Where is it at? Here you go. Deuteronomy 30:15. See, I have set before thee this day life and good and death and evil, man. All right. So that still stands even in time of Revelation, in these times today. So the Lord set before us an open door, and that's Yahushua, man. And no man can shut that door. But we got to walk through it. Okay? So let me get into more of this about the economy real quick. All right? Took a couple of screenshots. I just want to read this, and it should send some light bulbs off. All right? When will the dollar collapse? As the global reserve currency, the dollar would only collapse under extreme economic circumstances. And that's what they create. They're trying to create extreme economic circumstances like trade issues with other countries. Other countries switching to digital currency or World War III, talks of war. All right? Bringing down the futures of the economy. They got something called futures. You got to look that up. The U.S. economy would essentially have to collapse for the dollar to collapse. All right, you got to understand that. The economy going to have to happen first, or the dollar could collapse in another way. Check this out. While the U.S. economy experiences crashes and recessions like a roller coaster, it hasn't had a brush with a complete collapse in modern times. If the U.S. economy were to completely collapse, and the global economy were to restructure itself around a new reserve currency, then the dollar would collapse. So if the economy crashes first, which through these talks of war and these bailouts, all that could happen, interest rates, that could happen. If the U.S. economy were to collapse completely, then the dollar would collapse. And if the global economy were to restructure itself with the SDR basket, special drawing rights, and they set up a new, like the Bretton Woods Agreement, they do away with that, and they bring in the new reserve currency, which would be blockchain. Let's get into that. Check this out. Then the dollar would collapse. So, all right. It says here, what will replace the dollar as a reserve currency? All right, what would they replace it with? What's on the table? Well, I played a video years ago dealing with George Soros, where he said they want China to be the main country now, the new whore. And they want America to lag behind, so while they watch China grow. And that's what China did. They backed their currency by gold, and then they backed it by a blockchain, so other nations can do deals with with China through blockchain, and they can step outside of the dollar. So this is it. This is when the economy is going to crash, and ultimately the dollar. All right, so it could happen first. The dollar collapse could happen first due to these nations switching to another currency. The economy, all right, economy deals with buying and trading, and that is at a low percentage right now, so the economy is crashing too. As China wants its currency, the yuan, to replace the US dollar as the world's global currency. But it can't do that in the fiat currency market. It's pegged to the dollar. But in the digital world, China's currency, the yuan, surpasses the dollar. The dollar is at the bottom, and the yuan is at the top, because gold and is digital already. All right, to replace the U.S. dollar as the world's global currency. That would give it more control over its economy. As China's economic might grows, it's taking steps to make that happen. Look at that, man. So inching along until these prophecies come to pass. What is the global reserve currency right at the moment? The dollar has been the world's reserve currency since the U.S. and its allies agreed at the 1944 Bretton Woods Agreement, correct? Conference to peg it to a rate of $35 per ounce of gold. All right, that's what they were paying. They would pay $35, paper dollars per ounce of gold. And then during the Vietnam War, people like France, I think it was Italy, one of them countries, you can look into it, they were looking at America saying, yo, where you getting all these weapons from? They were using the money or the gold, and they would buy weapons. All right, they'd get these nations paper fiat currency, and America would get the gold. According to the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, that's those elites, the Edomites, the dollar's share of global reserves stands at 59%, far above the euro at 20%. So that's in the SDR basket of currencies. All right, so yeah, that's 1944. That's when they made it the world reserve currency, but now they're trying to move away from that world order into a new world order. All right, so let's see what this it says, is Bitcoin the next reserve currency? These are just different tabloids thoughts I was typing in as a screenshot. So is Bitcoin the next reserve currency? Now let's listen to this right here. It says, although many investors and crypto enthusiasts have long hailed Bitcoin as a better alternative to fiat currencies, traditional markets experts suggest otherwise. See, who cares about their suggestions? This is about what's happening. They are confident Bitcoin will not outdo the USD to become the next reserve currency. Okay, but check this out. Does Bitcoin become reserve currency? All right. Bitcoin may eventually end up becoming the world's reserve asset. Nothing they can do about it. All right. It's not soda either, man. It's water. Bitcoin may eventually end up becoming the world's reserve asset, taking over gold. Man, it's going to surpass gold, man. Just like right now, can't really say it, but you know the black stuff they're using, you know, called the GRAPHENE, you know. So that supposed to surpass gold too. This new element that they're bringing out to the forefront. All right. Anyway, so they want this new asset to take over, so to surpass gold, man. All right, it's gonna be digital. Among all digital asset classes, Bitcoin has the most volatile trading history. The cryptocurrency's first big price rise occurred in 2010 when the value of the BTC, Bitcoin, I guess, token jumped from being just a fraction to US 0.9. All right, so yeah. The digital yuan is a form of central bank digital currency. So they're already doing it. So people can talk all they want, but the moves are being made in that place, in that area. China already did it, you know, and they're the leading nation right now in economy and all that. So they already switched over to a digital system. And the digital yuan is a form of central bank digital currency, which is issued by the People's Bank of China. All right, and the People's Bank of China is the top bank on the world right now. China's digital currency is a means for China to digitize its banknotes and coins for cashless payments. Cashless society, man. Moving away from the fiat currency, the old world order. They already used it to steal the resources of the world. Now they want to do away with that and see who got the most resources. You know? Thus, digital yuan is a digitized version of the physical yuan. All right, so that's why America started to take those steps in that direction as well. So it's going to happen. All right, the almond tree is budding. There's nothing they can do about it. The Lord is watching over it to bring it to pass. A new Fed coin, here we go. What is Fed coin? A new Fed coin digital currency could replace cash. Cash means paper money or anything readily on hand. It's going to what? Hurt savers and allow the government to track payments, man. More control. Crypto experts have warned. President Joe Biden announced the moves towards a U.S. central digital bank currency, as I spoke on earlier, on Wednesday, and a historic executive order on crypto regulation. Remember, he gave those bankers 100 something days, 180 something days, 180 to figure out a plan. All right, so yeah, man, the almond tree is budding, man. You know, the prophecy is coming to pass. 2 Ezra 16 and 20. But for all these, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges, man. So they know not to trust these damn devils, but still they're going to trust them anyway. 2/3 of our people. Behold, victuals, you know, food and raiment, really food shall be so good cheap upon the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall the evils grow upon the earth, right? Famine, sword, famine, and great confusion, man. That's why there's a cry for wine in the streets. They're looking for answers, because there's great confusion right now. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of the famine that's coming. Lack of food, lack of bread. And people going to be like, oh, take it, just give it to me. That's why Revelation 13:16 said they're going to receive it, you know. They're going to ask for it. Look at the Zaryak. Look what he did, man. He's a gay right hand. He broke like a sugar glass table. Shit. And the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy, ultimately the missiles and martial law. All right, so that's the judgment that the Lord has set in place, man, to clean off uh, most of our people, right, 2/3 of our people, right here in America. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, all right? And it's going to be all over the earth. It's going to be an economic crash and wars. World War III, but mainly here in Babylon. And the dead shall be cast out as dung. You know, I remember a time in Philadelphia, it got so bad. I went up to my friends in my house, and his mom was laying there on the floor, just dead under a sheet. She was big, and they didn't have the money to bury her. So the coroner left them with the body and said, "Yo, we can't take it unless you got the money." So get real, man. You know, so the dead shall be cast out as dung, man. You know, when there's no coroner, there's no ambulance or anything to come pick up those bodies. They're gonna be worrying about their own families. They never had the resources or funds to move around. You know, defunding the police, defunding the system. And just like with Katrina, you know, so events are gonna happen which gonna cause mass death. Look at Ukraine. There's nothing but dead bodies in the street. In the time of war, people don't really have time to collect bodies and stuff like that. So the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. All right, and we're looking for an answer. The politicians are gonna disappear. The world leaders, they're gonna leave everybody hanging, man. They're gonna run into them bunkers. All right, and these church leaders, church pastors, don't look for them. They're the hirelings. They're gonna flee. For the earth shall be wasted. All right, and no man to comfort them. I mean, like police, the coroners, nobody coming to lay the dead to rest. All right, and the earth shall be wasted, not just America, but all over the earth. And the cities shall be cast down, man. All right, so the economy and the cities are going to be cast down, especially here in Babylon, America. All right, so let's go back to this, Jeremiah 1:11. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Jeremiah, what seest thou? And I said, I see a rod of an almond tree. All right, again, ultimately, this prophecy goes into Aaron's rod or Yahushua. But the return of Yahushua, he said, what? I'm coming to bring fire upon the earth. You know, destruction, judgment. What will I if it already be kindled? Meaning, what do you think his will is if the fire is already kindled before he get here? He's the one that's starting the fire. The word of the Lord came, so then said I unto Yahweh, thou hast seen well, for I will hasten my word to perform it.